Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my.
Games like last night, Luca Nation, they'll rip your soul out if you're a bettor.
That was nuts. It's funny.
Pretty wild.
I didn't look at the spread. I watched the end of the game. I was rooting for Cleveland because I'm a Cleveland guy. And just so many storylines. McSorley comes in. Hopefully, he's not badly injured. I didn't look today. Lamar Jackson out. They come in there just trading touchdowns. I think at one point there were 9 rushing touchdowns in the game, which is just like that's an NFL record. I think it hasn't been done since the 20s. And then all of a sudden, after 9 touchdowns, it's just firing touchdown passes. Lamar came in and throws that. That was just more blown Cleveland coverage. But yeah, when that play was going on, I immediately looked at the line and I'm like, 3.5. Oh my God, what the hell? Like that. They have on SportsCenter, right? Bad beats. Is that the worst beat ever? If you're sitting there with Cleveland plus 3.5, is that literally the worst thing that has ever happened, like betting wise? That's crazy.
I'll remember this. It's hard to compare bad beats, right? I'll always remember I had the Seahawks versus the Packers. It was a Monday or Sunday night football game, and Aaron Rodgers threw a 60-yard Hail Mary into the end zone, and the guy pushed off the defender, literally threw the defender to the ground. No whistle, no flag, nothing. So that one goes up there. Also, when the Patriots picked off Seattle in the Super Bowl, that was tough. When Marshawn was on the 1-yard line and they decided to throw it. But, man, that's crazy. That'll rip your heart out. But the cool thing is McSorley got injured before the 2-minute warning. Then they brought Lamar Jackson. He was in the locker room. They brought him out of the locker room to throw what was potentially a game-winning 4th and 5 touchdown. Yep. Unbelievable, right, Cage?
Yep, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. It was crazy. But then Mayfield comes down the field. I actually, in one of our groups, because I was in there, because we had a lot of people in our groups, I said, Cleveland's going to score too soon. I said it. I said, you're going to score too soon. I said, Cleveland's got to slow this down and not give Lamar a chance, especially with Justin Tucker. Because you basically got to get the midfield and he can kick a field goal for you.
Yes. Yep.
So, and it wound up being what happened. It's amazing that you have to think almost pump the brakes if you're Cleveland. Go to overtime, you're home. You know what I mean? Score, but make sure you're scoring. Because they're deep. The Ravens defense is so injured. Like, they weren't stopping Cleveland. It really came down to who's going to be the one that get the ball last there. And they left too much time for Baltimore. Baltimore only had 1 timeout, I think, too. But just a crazy, crazy thing. Gotta love it.
Well, Luca Nation, a little pre-roll there. Welcome back to another episode of Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my. I'm watching this final play here, and I still don't see the safety. Why do they keep going backwards, Cage?
The safety's at the end. And who is it, Landry maybe, who has it? He's got it at the edge of the end zone. Yep.
Oh, my God. They just kept going backwards. That's devastating. Imagine watching that in real life. But anyway, we have a special episode for you guys today. Welcome you guys back. Before we get into our plays, Cage, you want to talk about Zion? He had a monster game. People holding his cards are he's fit. He's back at it. They couldn't be more excited for season. Any thoughts on it before we jump in our plays?
I like it. My play will draft off of the Zion being fit, although it's not a basketball play. But it's a big deal, right? These, the way that our market is now, the way that we are playing these cards, the prospects, the young guys, news is almost as big of a deal, rumors, you name it, is almost as big a deal as what happens on the court. And when it gets backed up on the court, it's like a double whammy. You know what I mean? When you hear Zion's eating tofu and he's going to be healthy, that makes the card kind of jump a little bit on the potential. And then you see him in the preseason not only look in shape, but also look nimble and making the plays like he was making when he was in Duke. Now you're doubling down on it. And yeah, I mean, we've seen some Zion prices spike over just the last 48 hours because of it, which is just, that's the news cycle now. Somebody puts up a picture of Bol driving and he looks great. All of a sudden it's, grab your Bol cards again. LeBron invites Talon Horton Tucker over, Horton Here's a Who or whatever it is, the Dr. Seuss guy invites him over for Taco Tuesday. And all of a sudden everybody wants to spend, $1,000 on Horton Tucker cards.
Well, his Mosaic Silver sold for like 200 plus today. So that's something.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. I
Talk
love
today
it.
about a play that
What do you got?
I'm going to talk about a play today that I think is going to surprise a lot of our listeners.
Nice. I can't wait. I like surprises.
And in the NBA, we often regard successful careers, successful players by their championships, right? If
Yes.
you don't win, the market just doesn't look at you the same. In football, that applies as well, but because it's so difficult to win the Super Bowl, I feel like there's less scrutiny to it.
Okay.
But the player I'm going to bring to you today is someone that I feel has been wrongfully beat down by the market. I think if you look at the supporting cast of this guy's players, though he's had some extremely talented players, he's always been surrounded by divas. He's put up numbers. He's led his team to the playoffs every single season in his career. And he gets blamed time and time and time again for not having won, not having a championship. He's not a team player. I've even heard him being called a bad teammate. And I think it's a bit unfair. Now, this
Can't wait to
player
hear
has
what this
played,
is.
he's
Can't wait to
played
hear what this
with
is.
Kevin Durant, who is unbelievable, the best scorer, one of the best scorers in history, but he is who he is. Now, he's also played with Paul George, and last season he's played with James Harden. Now, this player has, like I said, has just gotten beat down by the market. I don't feel like he gets the respect he deserves. But if you take just a step back, you'll look at this guy's career and you're like, this guy's had an all-time career. This guy might be a top 50 player by the time it all finishes. Oh, and by the way, does he have his best supporting teammate this year? In Bradley Beal. And my play today, and this isn't for the weak stomach, is Russell Westbrook. Because, and I'll tell you why. If you look at this guy's stats, this guy's performance, this guy's win-loss record, he's one title away from being one of the top 50, top 25 greatest players of all time, even surpassing what I would say Oscar Robertson, the triple-double king of before. That's my play today, and I'll give you guys two cards to take a look at because I understand it's a little bit surprising, but when you take a look and you see that Russell Westbrook tops Chrome sells for $350 for the PSA 10, or his Prism 2012 sells for $100 in a PSA 10, you might reconsider when you compare the pop of both of those cards and the price relative to some other guys. Just to give you
Hard card to
context.
grade for 2012 Prism. I like that at 100 and change. Take it from somebody who's graded hundreds of 2012 Prisms. For some reason, the Westbrook, I did not get a lot of 10s on it. It was a harder grade. I think maybe because people actually graded him, even though it wasn't rookie. So maybe the stuff that I was buying, were kind of picked through. But yeah, there's not that many. The pop is real low on that card. It's a nice card.
Monday, December 14th, an auction closed at $96. Now, we talk a lot about iconic sets, iconic images, iconic players. So this card has all of it. And if you guys are rookie collectors, go for his rookie card. I think his Topps Chrome is a great buy in a PSA 10. It's only a $350 card. But the 2012 Prism, it's an iconic set, and it's his iconic pose and him dunking. For under $100, a guy who's a sure shot Hall of Famer, and really, I think he's got a little bit left in the tank. I would actually say he's got a lot left in the tank. This is a guy who's as hardworking as anyone. He's got a good head on his shoulders. Every single teammate, despite what the market says he's an unbelievable guy, unbelievable culture guy. And now I think he's got a really interesting team. He's got a team where he could be the leader again, like he was on OKC, but he's got his better supporting cast. I'll take Bradley Beal over Paul George any day. By the way, just real quick, pivot, dovetail. Paul George needs to stop putting targets on his back, saying stupid stuff like, now that I signed the Supermax deal, I owe you guys a title. You're not good enough to say stuff like that. Just win the title. Get to the finals. Stop putting targets on your back because you know you're just going to get scrutinized and torn up by the media.
Pablo, so on the Westbrook
Did you call me
thing,
Pablo?
No, I call Paul George Pablo because that's his name in Spanish. But no, so here you're in Mexico, man. I mean, I got to use the native tongue. So here's the deal. just for comparison, the 2012 Russell Westbrook. I'm not saying this guy's in this category, but it bolsters your point of he's a championship or two away from this category. So that 2012 Prism, it's not a rookie card, obviously, but it's not a rookie card for guys like Shaq and Dwayne Wade either. And the pop is about the same for Westbrook, might even be a little lower. But I was selling those cards for over $300 in PSA 10, and Westbrook's under 100. You're telling me? So that's the difference, right? And if Westbrook happens to win a championship or go deep in the playoffs or starts to be viewed as, one of those all-time great top 75 players, during the 75th anniversary and that kind of stuff, while it might not be a 3 and change card, no reason to say it can't be 200, which is a double from where you're telling people to buy it at. So it's cool. And I'll tell you why I like it. Nobody else is looking here. It's easy for us to go and tell people buy Darius Baisley when everyone's looking for Darius Baisley or Talon Horton Tucker. There are people out there who do videos and charge you for it, and they're telling you now, go out there and buy Darius Baisley cards. No one's telling you to buy the 2012 Prism Russell Westbrook, but there's money to be made there. It's a guy who's got a quality NBA career. His card's been beaten down. You'd call him in the market oversold right now because, look, he's switching a lot of teams. Nobody really likes that. He's shown that he, at least in recent past, he doesn't play well with others. But come on, eventually you got to get to a point where he's got to be that number one guy. And why not on this team? Why not on a team that's got some young players, got some scorers? It's in the easier conference, although the East has gotten a little stronger this year. I think he's going to do really well, and it's a card that people will look at. That 2012 Prism set's iconic. I like the play.
Real quick on that one narrative that he doesn't play well with others. Might it be fair to say that Paul George and Harden are actually the ones that don't play well with others if you kind of look at their track record?
We'll see, right? Because those guys are big names, right? Bradley Beal is great, but he's not a big name yet. You would think that, if Westbrook can't get along with this team, then you got to start pointing the fingers at him.
Well, he gets along with everyone. People just sometimes they expected some big results when Paul George went to OKC. They thought, maybe this team could come out the West. Then he went to Houston, and people said the same thing. But I would not want to play with Harden. I think he's the hardest player in the NBA to play with. The guy holds the ball in his hand for 20 seconds and dishes the ball. So it's harder for other players to find his rhythm. Also, he went out east. I think Westbrook's going to have a lot more success out east. I think Washington's a good team. He's been coached by Scott Brooks before, so it's going to be a seamless transition. I'm really excited for what he does this year. And I think that this card, though you could wait for him to get enshrined in the Hall of Fame, and that's a buy, I think this same card by playoffs this year, which Washington's going to make, and they might be a 4 or 5 seed this year, maybe even a 3 seed. This is a $250 card. So I would take a look at it because I'm expecting big things from the Wizards, Bradley Beal, and Russell Westbrook this season.
I like it. All right, so I'm going to try to quickly give my play on this as well. A couple things you touched on are gonna flow nicely into my play. Number one, we talked about Zion. Right, one of the cool things about Zion is everybody talking about how he lost weight, he's getting in shape, and you name it. The other thing, when you talk about a Russell Westbrook play, no one's looking at Russell Westbrook cards right now. So I try to combine those two things into my play. My play is somebody that even though no one's looking at this right now, there's news about him. There's legitimate news about him. There's news that, I think cuts in favor. So when 2019 baseball season started, and there's where I'm going, right? I'm going with baseball because no one's looking at baseball. When 2019 baseball started, do you know who the number 2 prospect in baseball was?
2000, what year?
2019. When 2019 started, number 2 prospect in baseball, coming into baseball and playing. His dad played. He's got cool dreadlocks. He dances in the dugout after he hits. Our friend Tatis, number 2. Do you know who number 1 was? A guy who he will forever be linked to. This will forever be the conversation of no. It'll be the same kind of conversation as Trey and Luka, same draft, you name it. They both came in, huge expectations. Both had fathers who played in the majors. Vlad Guerrero Jr., the forgotten man. And everybody,
he lost a little bit of weight this season, right?
Yeah, you go back a year, and he was the number 1 prospect going into 19. And if you open 2019 Topps Series 2, yes, you were happy to get a Tatis, but the card you were looking for was Vlad Guerrero's Series 2 card. He was the guy, and he's not now. And part of the reason is he did not look mobile enough at third base. And his team told a 21-year-old kid, you're out of shape, go move to first base. So he has proceeded in this offseason to lose 40 pounds. And he wants to lose another 10 to get down to a playing weight and get back to third base, play the hot corner, be a more valuable player, more valuable to his team, more valuable from a fantasy standpoint, more valuable from a hobby standpoint. And I saw a Dominican League game the other night where he had 2 home runs. One of them, I don't even think it landed yet. I mean, the bat speed is there. It looks amazing. He looks thinner. And it just, I love it because he's a top prospect, but he's a name that's gotten lost in the shuffle of Tatis and Acuna and Soto and all those big names that everybody's buying. I saw, and the card that I'm looking at is actually, it's funny because it's a no number card. They don't have a number on it.
I was going to ask you to talk about that because I had one of those cards and I wasn't sure what the deal was.
It's just a missing number. You want to call it an error or whatever it is. It's a 2019 Top Series 2 Vlad Guerrero missing number. You'll put it in, if you're doing an eBay search, put in NNO, no number. That often shows up, but there's no number on the card. And it actually says on the flip on the slab, missing card number. One sold yesterday for $107. So I don't know whether you
in the PSA 10.
PSA 10. So I'm telling you to go out PSA 10 because you can get this significantly cheaper than Tatis, significantly cheaper than Acuna or Soto or any of these guys. And this is a guy who has the potential with that lineup out in Boston to out in Toronto to do some real stuff. I mean, they got a lot of good players out there.
Mm-hmm.
And look, he's 21 years old. This is a young kid who has all of the pedigree. And I think you're able to buy him at a discount to even some of the other guys who are in the same category as him. And here's my other portion of this, right? I think baseball is a hidden gem. And maybe I'm an old man and maybe I'm an idiot for thinking this, right? But right now people are not watching baseball. People watched baseball last year, you name it. Last year's baseball season was a weird one. It was a 60-game season. It was odd. There wasn't a lot to watch. And it also was going on at the same time as the NBA. Okay, that's a huge thing. There has not been a baseball season in the last year and a half during this huge come up of sports cards, right? And football cards this year were bigger than they've ever been. Okay, every year they get bigger. Football cards are huge this year. Last year you did not have $1,000 first off the line boxes in Dutch auction. You did not have $1,000 Prism box, right? You had significantly less money. So what does that show me? It shows me that people rolled off of basketball and into football this year, and the hobby love carried over. People sold their basketball cards to get into football cards. People who were collecting basketball cards have now collected football cards. There are names they go after. There are people who are paying money for this. And I'm going to throw one out there. I know it's not Panini, I know baseball's tops, but if people are paying $70 for an ungraded Jalen Hurts rookie card, if people are paying hundreds of dollars for Joe Burrow, if people are paying hundreds of dollars for Tua and all these rookies, right? More than they were paying for the rookies in years past, and more attention is being paid, I have to believe that when football ends and basketball is winding down, right? There's still some overlap, right? But basketball is in the middle of the season, right? And you have that little doldrum, and baseball is starting to pick up. I do believe that there's going to be a flow of money, not huge, but more than we've seen in years past. I do believe there's going to be a flow of money into the rookies in baseball. People will be looking at trying to put money in these guys because it just doesn't make sense that people will buy a Keldon Johnson PSA 10 rookie card for the same price as they buy a Vlad Guerrero, right? That's your top prospect a year ago in baseball. So to me, this is, I don't want to call it a no-brainer, obviously, because there's no such thing, right? But to me, I'll play a couple things here. One, no one's looking at it now, and I do believe people will look at it. Number two, he's been beaten down, just like Westbrook has, because he was a little overweight, and he got moved from third base to first base. So you can get these cards now at a discount, not only to the other sports, football and basketball, but to his peers. He should be right up there with those other guys. He's as good of a hitter. He can make headlines. He's the kind of guy who can go out there, play third base, and hit 10 home runs in the first couple weeks of the season, and then everybody wants his cards again. So there's my play.
You know what I'm hearing? These baseball players do it right, guys. They spend the summer months in the U.S. In the winter months, they go to the Caribbean, smack some balls, pack some fatties, chill, enjoy their life. So I'm glad to hear that he's in the Dominican enjoying life.
That he is. Maybe you'll go there next. It's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiandrew?
Anything? Love you, Luca Nation. Until tomorrow.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.